Alright, I'm Chris. It's my turn for a pedalboard rundown now on my guitar. I got a lot going on here, but we'll just start at the top. We have a JHS buffer to fortify my signal because I run a lot of cable, going into a Boss TU3. You probably saw that in the other video from my brother's rig. I use a custom audio electronics wah pedal by Dunlop. Or made in conjunction with Dunlop, but has a couple of different wah settings on the right side that you can kick between two different kind of tones, wah tones, and it has a booster on the right side right here, which I don't always use, but sometimes I kick it on for fun. We have a Ernie Ball Junior volume pedal. I run a lot of passive, or excuse me, a lot of active electronics in lieu of passive pickups, so this one is for the active type of pickups. I have a noise suppressor right here. Anything that generates volume or anything that adds gain to my signal, I run inside of the gate on this. It does a really good job of controlling any kind of buzz or unwanted noise. This thing's seen some better days. I knocked a volume pedal off of there, or a volume pot, I mean. Not volume pot. Your threshold pot, anyway. Knocked this off of there years ago. Didn't see the need to replace it because it still works just fine. It's a good little tank. My primary drive is coming from a JHS Sweet Tea, which on the right side here, the green side, has the classic green Tube Screamer 808. It's JHS's variety or version of that. Their take on it has a couple of different gain settings with this little switch here. On the right side, you have basically a Marshall-y type of distortion sound, which obviously goes great with my Marshall amp that I use. You can actually use this switch to switch between which is first in the signal path, either going drive into distortion or distortion into drive. We have the EP booster. Lately, I've been running this thing always on at about 12 o'clock. Sounds really killer with my passive guitars, and still sounds good with my active guitars as well. And we have an Boss EQ. I don't run this on very often. I mostly use it, I'll kick it on if I feel like a solo needs to cut a little bit more than it is, depending on the venue. You really don't need a whole lot of volume, because going in a 100 watt Marshall like I do, like any tiny bit will significantly bump it in front of the mix. So that is about how I run it, just flat on the EQ and use it like a volume boost kind of. It's actually pretty nice too, because you can run it on the clean channel of my amp and kick that on, and it'll give you a little tiny bit of bite and breakup. So it's pretty nice if you want to, another variety for tone. There's my amp's main switch, kickbox, whatever you want to call it. But I do use the clean channel most and combination with the Sweet Tea, but I also will use the Marshall's drive channel as well, that I kind of set it up to just be kind of just a little bit of breakup, so it's not anything too crazy. Like if I really want to get rocking and rolling, we'll use the distortion on this with the clean channel of the Marshall amp. That's it for the front end. Now over here we have my stuff that's in my effects loop, excuse me. We have the chorus by Boss, which is everybody knows how they sound, so it's not really a whole lot to say about that. Over here we have the DM2W Wazacraft, which is my absolute favorite thing ever for delay. This thing sounds so sick. We have the custom and standard switch there in the middle. If I can get this camera to focus. I kind of run it so it's mostly like a repeated echo for the most part, but I can tweak it on the fly pretty easily if I want to get really crazy with it. After that, we're going into a JHS little black amp box. This is basically a volume limiter so that I can run my amp pretty hot. It's a 100 watt Marshall, but I can run it pretty hot in terms of how much I'm saturating the power tubes and everything. Or excuse me, running the not the power tubes, running the front end basically. I can run it with the volume higher and the gain higher, and then back this off, and I'm not going to kill whatever room that I'm in. I'm not going to blow people's eardrums out, which, yes, is part of rock and roll, but at the same time, it's not always good for tone. Sometimes, depending on the venue, I'll run it at about, this would be the 12 o'clock setting. I have this thing sideways on here so I can kick it with my foot. Smaller venues, I can run it, you know, anywhere from 9 o'clock to usually it's about mid is a good spot for it. But just allows me to saturate my tubes a lot better and get the tone that I want out of the amp, and run this amp that I run, which is a 100 watt Marshall, a DSL 100, into a 1960 cab. Run it pretty much any venue I can, you know, play it at without killing people. So pretty nice little gimmick with the JHS there. Everything's sitting on top of a light pedal board that's LYT. You can Google it. They're lightweight boards, hence the name, and they're pretty sturdy. I ran this thing for years and years outside of an actual road case, and then only got a road case shortly after I broke the volume, or I keep saying volume, but shortly after I broke the pot on the noise suppressor, because I'm like, well, I should probably get a case to protect my pedals. But anyway, thanks for watching, and rate, comment, subscribe. See you later.